Now I would like to access the list. Access the list using an iterator. So that's our learning objective of the day. Right, so you need to declare an iterator. So how do you do that? Again, list. So you need to declare first. Type student. Okay, this is the syntax. And then the scope operator. And then iterator. And then name your iterator whatever variable you want. And I'm going to call it IT for iterator. So this here is how you set your iterator to be able to traverse any of this list. So IT will have a lot of functionality that you could use to access data members. So let me just compile this. Right? Everything looks good now. Excellent. So now we're going to go ahead and traverse the list using the iterator. IT. Okay? All right. So how do we do that? We're going to do the same thing we did with for loops. Right? With int, if you had an array, int I equals 0, I less than size, I plus plus, right? So very, very, very similar. So for, okay? So what are the things you can inspect? Well, you want to make sure that, is it at the beginning of the list? So set it to the beginning of the list, just like I equals 0. Okay? IT equals, right? So what's the list? The list is called my students dot. Now there is a function called begin. So that means make it look at the front of the list first. And as long as IT is not equal to my students dot end, which means the end of the list, as long as we're not there, IT plus plus. So this is very similar to how we used an integer to go through an array. Except now you have the dot begin to the list and dot end, right? So what are we going to do here? We're going to see out, and we're going to output the content or the payload of the list. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we have a function get name, right? For each one of the nodes, you have an object in that. We can dereference the get name to access there. So how do you do this? You do IT get name, and now let's put a new line here. There you go. So right before that, I'm just going to do a statement here. See out. Print the list within main. So because I'm going to do another example where we're going to print this list outside of main. Okay. So that way you have a lot more flexibility than what you're seeing here. So let's go ahead and compile and run now. Compile and run. And there you go. Notice print the list within main. Let's see. So we have Molly, George, and Janet all inserted in there. Now, can we get the same thing outside of main? And the answer is yes.